This week I'm dedicating this channel to the British rock band Jesse's Divide, and tonight I'm going to talk about Stoke-on-Trent, because that's where the band come from and it's also where I've lived now for the past 12 years. Originally I'm from a city called Norwich in the east of England, 200 miles away from here, except everyone in Stoke-on-Trent thinks I'm from London, because people from Stoke have an odd view on geography. Anything below Birmingham somehow is London. I think it literally does go Stoke-on-Trent, Birmingham, London, King's Landing, and then across the sea to Dragonstone. The first thing about living in Stoke is that it's really fucking confusing, because Stoke is a town, but Stoke-on-Trent is made of 6 towns, each of which has its own town centre, and that means every single fucking road sign says town centre on it, but they never tell you which one it is. Also, there's a 7th town called Newcastle, and that's not part of Stoke, and some people, not all, but some people from Newcastle are proud to not be from Stoke. They look down their noses at people from Stoke. But if you are one of those people, being from Newcastle and thinking you're better, that's a bit like a junkie thinking they're better than the other smackheads because they cook their heroin on a silver spoon. Also, Newcastle isn't the Newcastle you're thinking of. For some bizarre reason back in history, the town planners said, what shall we call this town? And rather than come up with something original, they used the same name as the massive industrial town in the northeast of England. Now, Stoke used to be very famous for its pottery. We still make some good pottery here, and the area is actually known as the Potteries. But the reason I use that analogy about a heroin addict is that if you come here now, it's good if you're really into smackheads and illegal immigrants, because we are falling over the fuckers. And I do genuinely feel sorry for people who've left some Middle Eastern war-torn shithole, have had to float across the Mediterranean, cling to the bottom of a lorry, and they end up working at a car wash in Burslem. But I'll also say we're unlikely to ever get attacked by any Islamic extremist group here, because if you set a bomb off in Stoke, the worst thing it'd do is it'd tidy the place up a bit. But for all of my putting the place down, I absolutely fucking love living in Stoke-on-Trent. It's one of the friendliest towns you will ever visit. It's dirt cheap to live here. It's convenient to get everywhere because we're right in the middle of the country, but the main thing is the music scene here is coming on so strongly. Now, a few years ago, well no, let's say 10 years ago, to go to a really good gig you had to go to London, Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, or Rock City in Nottingham, and that was the only thing that was in Nottingham, particularly if you're my age, when we all used to watch Headbangers Ball on MTV. But then a few years back, other towns like Derby started picking up a really good music scene, and now the last 2 years, Stoke is just rocketing in music. It's fantastic. We've got some really great venues here for rock and metal, such as there's the Rigger, the Freebird, a new club called 11, and if you go just outside of Stoke, there's a town called Leek, which was probably named by the same people who did Newcastle. Wondering what shall we call this small market town? Well, let's name it after a vegetable associated with the Welsh. No, in Leek there is the Roebuck Hotel, run by Nick, really nice guy. So yeah, the music scene here is great, and it's producing great bands like Jesse's Divide, and it's showing now you don't have to come from Manchester or London or Liverpool to get somewhere in the music industry. So this weekend I'm going to the EP thing with Jesse's Divide. I'm looking forward to it. If you're into music, come to Stoke. It's fucking great.